Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha K Geek XX Chic, and we're back with another review to The Walking Dead. This is now for episode 8, which was called For Blood. And this one really just followed 2 out of our 3 groups that we've got spread across the landscape right now. We already know where the Commonwealth sits. Of course, our group is in peril there. And now our other 2 groups are also dealing with some pretty crazy stuff. We'll start with Alexandria because it's really the shorter part of the episode. There's a storm happening, which this is kind of new. Like, Walking Dead hasn't really dealt with weather very much in the show. Like, every so often we've had like a storm, but it definitely isn't like a theme. But it's a reality, right? Like, weather does happen. And right now, as we know, Alexandria is in no shape to take anything from anyone. And now having this bad weather with strong winds, everyone's kind of holed up in the most, I guess, stable home that's left in Alexandria, but even that is not in its best condition, and it's really getting bad. We see that they split up into teams. We've got a team that's protecting the people who are not strong enough to go fight and the children, and we've got people out there trying to put out the fire, and another team trying to fix the holes in the wall. It's fair to think that maybe not everyone's going to make it through this. I mean, Walking Dead, of course, plot armor can end up protecting everybody, but it's not good times. Really, they had so little to begin with, and now it looks like what little they have is about to be taken out. And I feel like this is, of course, going to dovetail into the rest of the season, where the Commonwealth is going to make their way to Alexandria. That's my guess. I think that Eugene is going to crack because he's in between a rock and a hard place. There really isn't a great decision for him to make. I think he is going to give up their location, and the Commonwealth is probably going to swoop in at the last minute and potentially grab them. But the way things are going, that is the better scenario because, yeah, like I said, like, Alexandria is being decimated by this storm for the sounds of things, and it's no longer really safe for them at all. I love the moments that we got with Judith, again, kind of being the little soldier, channeling her inner Shane. Nature versus nurture, which one is going on right now? No, but really, just her kind of being scared, but also wanting to be brave for her brother, for all the other kids. Inevitably wanting to help, but understanding that this was not the right time. I'm so glad she listened, because we know that Judith's got a bad habit of running off sometimes. I'm glad that she's kind of just realized that this is a little bit bigger than what she can handle, and that she is being helpful in keeping people like Gracie and her brother and everybody else calm. I really enjoyed that exchange between her and Virgil. Virgil saying all those really beautiful words about how Judith is really showing the impact that Michonne's had on her life, and how Michonne would be so proud of how she's handling herself despite her not being there. And of course, she's made me miss Michonne, but I like that. It's kind of weird that it came from Virgil of all people, because he only spent like a few days with Michonne, but still, someone had to do it, I suppose, because we were kind of out of other people to make up for it. We saw a little bit of Connie, which was nice, but she's ready to go right back out into the danger. She's like, nah, man. Throw me in, coach. Like, I don't want to chill in here anyways. Let me get out there and get my hands dirty. Outside of that, we just had some women being badasses. That scene with Rosita was fantastic. I would have loved to see a little bit more of it, but I'm fine with what we got. Like, it reminded us that Rosita is a badass, and she does have her military and combat training. Like, she is no slouch. And I'm like, thank you for not having her get hurt, because I was like, let's not have Rosita get hurt. Let's not have Coco be an orphan. The show's already orphaned enough people, please, no more. But yeah, other than that, really, like I said, that's kind of all we really had at Alexandria was those few sets of moments. Of course, we saw at the end, Judith and Gracie are now in a basement that is currently flooding, and they can't go back up because everyone assumed that everybody went upstairs before they let the door go. I have no doubt that next season we're going to see those poor kids maybe up to their necks. And I don't even know if they know how to swim. Let's be real. We don't even know if that even happened for those 2. So, dire circumstances in Alexandria. And again, like, I feel like with this flooding, what little supplies, food, whatever they have is probably gone after this storm. On to what was going on at Meridian. We have Maggie launching her attack, sending the walkers in, and Pope not at all thinking this was an accident, figuring out very quickly that Maggie had something to do with it. He keeps referring to her as her, so I don't know if it's just because he doesn't know Maggie's name, or if it's just his way of dissociating from her because he just hates her so much. But I know someone in my comments a while back said that there might be some beef going on, or something might have gone down for why Hope was so obsessed with getting Maggie. But maybe it really is just because she could come back. But let's face it, Maggie is, she's been through some stuff, and I have no doubt she gave Pope all the stank eyes before she left. And I'm thinking that also her and her people probably took out quite a few of Pope's people before they disappeared. Yeah, we see that this beef is going on, but I love that Pope didn't underestimate her and he didn't think that she was incapable of something like this. And we saw again that Daryl had to kind of give up a little bit of information about the fact that the walkers can move around in patterns like this. Like I said, I really like that he's navigating this half-truth situation because it makes it easier for him to be believed, but at the same time, doesn't hopefully give too much away. But poor Daryl was just on pins and needles this whole time, you could see, because he knew as soon as he saw the group that it was Maggie and Negan and all of them, but also very scared of, okay, well, what do I do? Because how do I make sure they're not going to get cornered? And then, of course, once the landmines started going off, he was like, oh, great. So they're in the middle of this, and there's landmines, and if they react or they scream or if something happens, obviously the whole jig will be up. But we saw that he was doing a lot of trying to gauge Leah and see if that Leah was the same one that he fell in love with all those years ago. But I think what Daryl is failing to understand is that he never really knew Leah. And whoever he fell in love with was a part of Leah, but it was not all of Leah. She did a very good job of hiding all of her military and, puberty, all of her military and her crazy cult family history. Like, she didn't mention that once to him. He had no idea, and she clearly did that deliberately. So I don't think Daryl's quite clocked into the fact that, yes, there's some parts of Leah that are kind and benevolent and empathetic, but much more of her is the mercenary. And really, with all the talk that she already had about her brothers and this is my family and how she kept getting into Pope's face about anytime he tried to go off on them, I feel like Daryl should have picked up that these men are more than just workmates for her. This is not just a matter of being together because we're keeping alive here. She genuinely has a traumatic bond that she shares with all of them, and she's not willing to just walk away from that. And unfortunately, a good chunk of them, they really buy into the way that Pope has set up their little group. So it's not like she could just merge with Maggie and her group or just, join other sides. Like it's going to be a little bit of them versus us. I mean, it's a good thing that Daryl did keep kind of picking at her because he did realize that her conscience was kicking in for some things. But he overestimated that love and concern she had for her brothers would extend to just anybody. And clearly it doesn't. Like, if she sat back and let Pope take this place, take Meridian, knowing that there were women and children and small people there, that should have clicked into Daryl that she's not, like, she's willing to do anything for what she thinks is entitled to her or what she thinks is right for her and her family and not other people. So we saw Daryl finally break down and tell her that there were people in there and that they were coming back, but it was for the food because people were starving to death, which was, I hate that he told her that there were more of them. I mean, he didn't say where they were, but I hate that he kind of had to break, but I understand he was desperate at that point. He didn't know what to do in order to stop her from letting this happen, but at the same time, not have to kill her, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Daryl does not want to have to kill Leah. Clearly, he still has some feelings for her. In the end, I don't know why he didn't. I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer to that. I feel like he shouldn't have said something, but he also needed to do something to stall, at the very least, to keep the people that he cared about safe, because he knew that Maggie was down there somewhere. We saw it all come to a head and Pope come up, and I knew as soon as he said that he was going to turn this weapon on the courtyard with his men still in it, that was going to be the final straw or the breaking point for Leah. And I was like, Leah's either gonna let Daryl slit his throat or she's gonna do it herself. And we see that she's the one who ended up doing it, or stabbing him in the neck in this case. I think it's a bit interesting that they killed Pope so quickly. Like, it seemed like they were kind of building him up to be a bigger baddie this season, but it looks like they're doing that other formula that Walking Dead does, where it kind of looks like there's gonna be a baddie, but one kind of emerges out of it that's even worse. And I feel like that's going to be Leah. Honeymoon's over. She's chosen her family once again, but so did Daryl, really, by default. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's not as easy to just jump on Leah and say that she's evil for this. It's understandable. Daryl was willing to do what it took to protect his family. Like, he killed old boy with his cigarette just like that, over just trying to protect his family. So I can't really fault Leah for feeling like she's got to do the same with Daryl and his group, although she let Daryl go. So again, I think that was like her final, like, I do still have a little bit of feeling for you, but I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you get a head start. But at this point, if one of my guys take you out, it is what it is. Like, I don't think she's going to want to be the one to pull the trigger, so to speak, but she's definitely not going to stop anybody from killing him this time either, if that's what it comes down to. So we're going to have to see how it goes, but I feel like it's going to be a situation where unfortunately Maggie's not going to walk away with this food. Like, I'd be really surprised if in episode 9 or 10 that they just wipe out the Reapers and just walk away with the food. Like, I just don't think it's going to be that simplistic. I think they're going to end up leaving again, but I do think that Leah's going to try to hunt them. As we heard her say in the end, it's not that she was against Pope's message or the way that he was doing things. She was more against the fact that he was willing to turn on his own to do it. That was her issue. So like I said, I feel like the Commonwealth is going to be kind of the common denominator potentially that brings everybody together, because the Commonwealth is probably the only people who are in a position now to take out Leah and her people, unless somehow, like I said, they do end up wrapping this up in the next season. But I feel like if they do that, it just kind of feels like this first half will be a huge exercise that ends quite quickly. And I just don't think that, considering how quickly they let Pope die, they're going to do the same for Leah and her group, but we'll have to see. I mean, there are a lot of irons in the fire right now, so I wouldn't be mad if they did close off the Reaper storyline sooner than later, especially since the Commonwealth is still ongoing. Yeah, lots going on. They definitely left us on a cliffy here. I'm not sure where things are going to go from here. Like I said, I really don't know if we're going to keep going with the Reapers or lean into the Commonwealth, but all I do know is I am ready to see Michonne. This is why I'm sitting here. When my two favorite characters on the show have been gone for so long now, I'm like, I need something. I mean, we brought up Michonne a lot already this season, so I'm hoping this means we might see her sooner than later. But yeah, at this point, it's going to be in 2022. So that's it. From my understanding, that is it. We are now on pause officially until next year. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching along with me. If you have, I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next episode.